Good afternoon, everyone. This is Shop Fitness. Thanks for joining. We are going to focus in on shoulder press options with resistant bands. We've seen many variations with shoulder press, whether it's seated with dumbbells or standing with dumbbells. And we're going to show how to set it up with resistant bands because they can be a valuable tool, and they also provide a different. Think of it as like how it gets harder and easier in the range from here to here. It's going to be a little different with resistant bands than with your dumbbells. Okay, so now you're working with a little tension, and then you can also have some variability with where you stand to make it easier or harder in the range. It's kind of cool stuff. So let's explore this. So we're going to do a warm-up first, okay? The warm-up is an isometric, and I encourage everyone to include isometrics, whether as a warm-up to the more challenging exercises or use it as part of the exercise that is like a real challenge, okay? So let's do the example. I'll show you from a profile position. You're going to slowly lift the weight of your arm as best as you can, and once you get up to the top, you are going to hold this joint position. Now you can see my shoulder blade, it's reaching up towards the ear. Allow that to happen. I encourage that. That is part of normal motion. Your shoulder blade has to work with the arm. So then after that, relax. Now there's another note that I want to make is your spine also my spine was also arching, extending. That is also going to happen. If you do have some lower back issues and this may not be in your back, has a hard time extending or doesn't have a lot of motion, this might be a little bit more challenging for you to do, and you may not want to do it just yet. So that would be just a caution just to take. I do the other side. And again, shoulder blade lifts with the arm. It's going to distribute some of the weight. It's going to help it out. And then relax it. Now, another variation to this motion is I'll show it from this perspective, you can also turn your arm out. So it's not just the hand, it's the whole arm. Think about spinning your bicep out. And then you can do the same range here. This might be, for some, this might be a little tight or might feel a little uncomfortable in this position. So if that does happen, you can turn your arm out and do that for your shoulder warm up, okay? So the next stage is the setup. I have the anchor underneath the door. And say this again, another reason why I like Body Elastics, that's the resistant band company. The wedge, the door anchor has a thick wedge, so it is more secure underneath the door. And I've seen some other companies, the door wedge, unfortunately, the door anchor, is a little thin, and it's going to slip. It's not going to be able to fit securely between the bottom of the door frame and the floor. So anyways, that's where it's going to be sitting underneath the door. And you can see I have a green band with my handle here. And I'm going to be standing with my knees slightly bent, and my feet are going to be about shoulder width apart. The wider you can, I wouldn't say too wide, but somewhere in the middle you want to have a decent base for support for this. It's like your foundation, okay? It's not going to be, you could do it this way with your legs close together, but I'm going to instruct that you can do it with feet a little bit wider apart, like shoulder width, okay? The band is going to be behind me, and as I said earlier, how far I stand away from this, you can see how the angle of the band is going to be different. If I stand closer, it's going to be right by my elbow. It's going to be close in terms of how it's pulling on my elbow or on my shoulder. So the distance from the band to my shoulder is a little bit smaller than if it were out here. For now, we're going to start with this, all right? And all you're doing is pressing through the handle as you lift up. Again, shoulder blade lifts up. And then you're going to bring it back down. All right? It takes a little bit of time. If you're not used to the whole idea of lifting your shoulder blade up as you're pressing, it may take a little time, but keep practicing on it. If you have questions, please let me know. But it's going to feel better on your joint. It's going to help out, especially if you're lifting 50, 60 pound dumbbells. That shoulder blade needs to help. Otherwise, you're going to get some shoulder pain, some shoulder impingement. You don't want that to happen. I've had it back when I was lifting in college, and it stinks. Thankfully, this is all better on my left side, so, but you don't want to, that's why, I guess as a trainer, it's really important to understand mechanics, how the body works. This, the shoulder blade lifting up, I didn't know that when I was going to school for, or when I was studying exercise mechanics. Same thing with the pull down. All right, not to go into pull down exercises, but when you're starting from here and you're doing that lat pull down, the shoulder blade should be reaching up. And when you pull down, that shoulder blade pulls down. I'll do that in another video. But that's the shoulder press exercise right here, is reaching up, bring it back down. All right, now I also talked about how the dumbbell sensation, or how the dumbbell is delivering a different challenge than the resistant band. So you could do this in pair if you wanted to. If you wanted to say, let's say with the dumbbell, right? If you're holding a dumbbell out here, it's pretty hard at just starting, let's say 50 pounds. But then as it gets up to here, the torque of the dumbbell is actually a lot less up here, if not zero, maybe a little bit. But it's certainly easier to hold up here than it is down here. All right, so that's how the difficulty or the challenge changes from bottom to top. When you're working with the band, however, because now you're dealing with a little bit of tension, the tension at the bottom is not as hard. It's still pulling, it still has some resistance here, but the tension on this band is a little less. But I still have some challenge here because it's still some torque to my shoulder. But as I push, I increase it. And now there's a little bit of challenge up here at the top. And if I wanted to increase the angle to make it even more challenging, you can now see that the band is a little further away from my shoulder, so it's creating more torque to my shoulder. This will increase the difficulty to that tissue. But let's say for now, like I said, let's keep it right here. Or it's just, there's definitely more of a drop off. Maybe it gets easier when you get to the top, but there's still, of course, tension as you get up to here. So any questions, feel free to leave some comments in the below, and I hope to talk to you soon. Everyone stay in good health, and until then, next video, I'll see you later.